Good evening, I'm Dwight Drummond, and this is The National.
Mr. President, will you attack North Korea?
North Korea conducts its biggest nuclear test yet. Are the drums of war beating louder tonight?
Nobody wants a war, but it could end up being a war.
Hurricane Harvey delivers a new and potentially devastating challenge.
No, they don't know what to do.
Flooding compromises some of the most toxic waste sites in the United States. And
We were every day tortured in various ways.
we hear from one of the gay men Canada secretly rescued from persecution in Chechnya. The U.S. Geological Service watches the world's earthquakes, and when the needles started moving, it was clear something unusual happened. A magnitude 6.3 event that wasn't an earthquake. It was the biggest show yet of North Korea's nuclear might, an explosion powerful enough to destroy a city, the epicenter, a known North Korean nuclear testing site. Pyongyang's 6th nuclear test may be its most provocative, and for the region, its most perilous. Keith Bogue begins our coverage tonight.
North Korea released these pictures of Kim Jong-un at a nuclear test site and made some bold but unverified claims about what it had done. Most important, that the weapon tested was a hydrogen bomb and that it was ready to be installed on an intercontinental ballistic missile. Analysts are skeptical those things are true.
We try not to speculate whether it's a hydrogen bomb or not.
But whether it was really a hydrogen bomb or only a boosted version of a less powerful atomic weapon, the underground blast was still bigger than anything North Korea has tested before.
At this time, the event is much larger than the one we've seen.
The force of the explosion was several times that of the bomb that destroyed Hiroshima in 1945. People in China and South Korea felt tremors, and the political shockwaves reverberated around the world.
Mr. President, will you attack North Korea?
U.S. President Donald Trump said on Twitter that North Korea's actions continue to be very hostile and dangerous to the United States, and that South Korea is finding, as I have told them, that their talk of appeasement with North Korea will not work. They only understand one thing. Trump met with his senior military advisors this afternoon.
Any threat to the United States or its territories, including Guam, or our allies, will be met with a massive military response, a response both effective and overwhelming. We are not looking to the total annihilation of a country, namely North Korea. But as I said, we have many options to do so.
But U.S. allies are cautioning against raising the temperature further.
They could basically vaporize large parts of the South Korean population, even with conventional weapons. Much more productive, we think, is to continue with the international diplomatic effort.
Later, Trump said on Twitter he was considering stopping all trade with any countries doing business with North Korea. That would include China and would have an enormous impact on the world economy. Keith Bogue, CBC News, Washington.
As you heard, it's not clear whether this is an H-bomb, but it is a major development in North Korea's nuclear weapons program. For more, I'm joined by John Park, director of the Korea Working Group at the Harvard Kennedy School. And John, let's start with the fact that this is North Korea's 6th nuclear test. What does this one change?
This one changes a lot, Dwight. If you look at the progression here, as you mentioned, this is a program that North Korea has been working on for a number of years now. North Korea, in conducting a test that registered 6.3 on the Richter scale as measured by the U.S. Geological Survey, we're now in a territory where it's demonstrated a capability. There is debate in terms of why there was a boosted device or a hydrogen bomb itself, but the point is North Korea is making net forward progress in both the design and the explosive yield of a nuclear warhead, as well as a delivery system, the intercontinental ballistic missile.
With that said, how scared should the world be about this development?
Well, the concern is very high. If you look at it, the North Korean nuclear weapons program is unconstrained. There's nothing slowing it down. So from that perspective, all of the talk of sanctions, and now there'll be yet more talk of new sanctions and other measures, trade restrictions and so forth, even if all of those were implemented fully, we're looking at a lag in terms of the effects of that implementation and the accelerated pace of North Korea's program. So this is a period where we're looking at this notion of how do we live with a nuclear North Korea? That is a reality that we're now confronting with.
Yeah, a lot of uncertainty there. Thank you for joining us, John.
My pleasure.
As John Park mentioned there, what makes a nuclear test like this so unnerving is the rapid progress of North Korea's missile program. On July 4th, North Korea tested a missile which analysts suggested had a range of 6,700 kilometers. That's enough to hit the U.S. territory of Guam, Alaska, and parts of Canada. On July 28th, another missile test revealed an estimated range of more than 10,000 kilometers, far enough to hit L.A., Denver, and Chicago. Toronto would be in range too. Does the U.S. respond? This test triggered a new round of warnings from Washington. For more on that, I'm joined by Brian Stewart, a distinguished fellow at the Munk School of Global Affairs. And Brian, let's start with the U.S. Defense Secretary came out today saying any threat to U.S. territories or allies will be met with a massive military response. What should we be reading into that?
A very interesting statement, very, very short, condensed. It started by talking about any attack on the U.S. or territory of its allies would lead to a military massive response. Well, that's no surprise. That was always. But then it turned to threat. And what does threat really mean? This is where it gets vague. Is it harsh language? Is it the firing of missiles over Japan and the Pacific? Is it setting off more nuclear weapons? There's a sense here that it's trying to get across to North Korea the sense that if you are going to act, pretend you're acting like a nuclear power, then you have to act like one. The Soviet Union and China during the Cold War, the latter part of it, did not threaten the United States.
No.
These threats, it's trying to also emphasize, threats can be taken as an attack. That's the danger. He may, at one stage, North Korea may decide to threaten the United States. That could be interpreted as an attack, and that's absolutely catastrophic.
At this point, how likely will the U.S. get what it wants for North Korea to get rid of its nuclear weapons then?
I don't think it will under any circumstances.
No.
Now, North Korea has worked too hard, progressed too far, is so sure that it needs these weapons to protect against American attack. It's not going to give up nuclear weapons, which means diplomacy has to come in at some stage. It's interesting, though, a lot of experts in Asia are now starting to think that North Korea may not want to talk for a while. It wants to build up the weaponry, build up its respect, force the United States to respect it more, and only then talk. So we could be in still, even with all this new back and forth threat, quite a long period before we actually see any talking done.
Yeah, it does seem like respect is important to this leader now. The defense secretary was clear enough, but that came after a barrage of Trump tweets. And we know Donald Trump is the X factor here. How coherent is U.S. policy right now?
Well, it can't be too coherent when tweets are, bouncing around like a pinball machine,
yes,
back and forth. But clearly, the generals in the White House and others in the White House are trying to make it seem like it's under adult supervision right now. They're trying to really clarify what is the policy. And they're also trying to put emphasis on Trump to stop the tweeting. Just let the policy speak for itself. Let the diplomats and the generals speak for the moment, at least.
We'll have to wait and see if that happens.
Yes.
I always appreciate your insights. Thank you,
Thank
Brian.
you.
The other factor here is the North Korean regime, what it wants, what it will do next. Brian Stewart spoke to the UBC professor, Donald Baker, a specialist on the Korean Peninsula. Here's some of that conversation.
So has there been a shift in terms of how North Korea is posturing itself?
Yes, it's much bolder. They're shooting off more missiles, and they're shooting missiles farther away. They're exploding more nuclear bombs. I used to say that North Korea, we don't have to worry because their aim wasn't very good. They don't need to have good aim anymore with a missile, with a bomb that strong. And now we know they can shoot missiles beyond Japan.
And given that throughout the whole development, of these tests, each time they've been met with worldwide condemnation,
yes,
yet they still proceed forward. I mean, why is that? Why continue forward and take that risk?
Because they've been able to get away with it. I mean, North Korea has learned that nobody wants their government to collapse because of the chaos that'll bring to Northeast Asia. So they know they can do what they want to do. The only problem to worry about is Donald Trump is not predictable. I saw that he said this morning, we'll see what we'll do about North Korea.
I mean, Donald Trump aside, you mentioned that North Korea knows how far it can push. So what is it that, it's trying to achieve here?
It wants respect, okay? In fact, not just for the country, but for Kim Jong-un. Okay, he knows the rest of the world doesn't respect him. He has nothing, he has no strong economy. All he has is his nukes and his missiles. And he's trying to use that to get the rest of the world to say, okay, we recognize you. You are a recognized player in international politics. That's what he wants. And then he can say, okay, now bring your foreign capital in and help me grow this economy.
So kind of a sign of, I guess, increased desperation.
He's a desperate man, yes he is. You know, they're bluffing, and so is the United States. But eventually somebody's going to call others bluff. Nobody wants a war, but it could end up being a war because neither side wants to back down from their bluffing, from their rhetoric.
The risks of that kind of brinksmanship are on the minds of leaders around the world, Ottawa included. The Prime Minister today responded to the nuclear test, saying Canada unequivocally condemns North Korea's nuclear test and that his government urges the UN Security Council to take further action to constrain North Korea's proliferation efforts and calls on all states to implement relevant UN sanctions. He also pledged to work with regional and international partners to counter the North Korean threat. And a bomb was also behind a mass evacuation in Frankfurt today. A 1.8-ton explosive was dropped by the British military during the Second World War and discovered just last week by construction workers. More than 60,000 people were ordered to leave their homes in what was Germany's biggest evacuation since the war. Explosive experts managed to defuse the bomb and no one was hurt. Coming up, fake news in the Philippines and how a pop star got to be one of its best conduits.
Do you really think the senator is the #1 drug lord in the Philippines?
Adrian Arsenault has the story from Manila. Floodwaters are slowly receding in Houston, but there's another grim situation to face, one that could eat up a huge amount of that promised relief money from Washington. Environmental contamination from damaged chemical facilities. Lindsay Duncombe has that story for us tonight.
All that water was just too much for this road. The ground gave way. This is your home?
Yeah, one of our trailers. Yeah.
Homes washed away. People here live in RVs and makeshift shelters. Elizabeth Victorio didn't know it, but her community is between two former toxic waste dumps, both flooded.
I'm kind of concerned a little bit because we live here and we have a water well and we use that water to give to our animals and also to bathe in it.
They are called Superfund sites, places the Environmental Protection Agency is responsible for cleaning hazardous materials. It monitors the soil and water. There are dozens in Texas, 13 flooded so badly officials haven't been able to check on them, although the EPA says it has done aerial surveillance.
They have restraints on their ability to check out some of them just simply because of the water.
The area behind this fence here is known as the Highlands Acid Pit. It was used back in the 1950s as a dumping ground for industrial waste, including products from oil and gas refiners. The Environmental Protection Agency cleaned up the site in the 80s, and it's been monitoring it ever since.
Water forced the gate open and no one has been around to lock it up yet. Dwight Chandler lives less than half a kilometer away.
Do you trust the EPA to keep this place safe?
No, they don't know what to do.
But his house is destroyed, and that's his biggest concern.
I mean, life goes on, you're going to live. That's like worrying if you're going to have cancer or if you're going to die of a heart attack tomorrow.
It's not just the EPA sites. These tankers collapsed in the storm. It's unclear what, if anything, they were holding, but John Zaruba thinks he knows.
Oil. I think the government should buy the property out to what we want and let us relocate.
In Houston, people and industry are neighbors. The storm's reminder, that proximity has the potential to be dangerous, as if people here needed something else to worry about. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Crosby, Texas.
And while the cleanup in Texas continues, Canada is pitching in to help with relief efforts.
Today we have about 24,000 pounds worth of baby food, cribs and mattresses.
Supplies were provided by the Ontario, Quebec, and federal governments after coordinated with FEMA officials in the U.S. The load was flown into Texas today on Canadian Forces Hercules from CFB Trenton. The Texas relief effort is also getting a boost courtesy of Houston area golfer Stacey Lewis. She promised to donate any winnings from this week's LPGA tournament. Lewis hadn't won a tournament since 2014. Well, guess what?
The long wait is over. This win
Lewis earned almost $250,000 for her win and says she'll hand it all over to the recovery effort. And just ahead, the calculating Kim Jong-un, North Korea's leader, is clearly ruthless, but is he really unstable?
And this is something else that's in use now and will one day be a part of every home. It's called the Videophone. It's very simple to use. Pick up the dial, punch the buttons, and I just press a button, and here I see Lloyd. Hi.
Hi, Sandy.
And how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I can't see you yet.
You can't see me? You
No.
can just punch up a button.
There. Oh, there you are.
See,
there you
I'm
are.
right in front of the lens.
Beautiful. Mm-hmm.
Very good, but I can control this. If I'm off center, you can't see me anymore. So,
You'd only want to do that if you weren't properly dressed, though, wouldn't you?
right, so there'll be no peeking at ladies when they're dripping wet and fresh from the tub.
Say, what's going on here? Yo, what's your name? What are you doing?
Je m'appelle Guillaume Lieberman et je prends le français.
Oh, he says he's Willie Lieberman and he's learning how to speak French. Well, tell me how this little machine works, Willie.
Well, this is a teaching machine, and it's very simple. Even an adult could use it. You see, in this box, on magnetic tapes, are 22 15-minute French lessons.
Mm-hmm.
So say I want lesson number 5. I turn the dial and pull the switch.
Yes?
Now, after each phrase in French, there's a pause. So if I want, I can repeat the phrase into this microphone right here.
Mm-hmm.
And it will be recorded on another channel.
Mm-hmm.
Later, I can turn back and hear both myself and the teacher, and I can check my pronunciation.
That's great. I say, Willie, how would you like to have a nice, juicy hot dog?
Oh, oui,
Oui?
monsieur.
Bon, très bien. Sandy, can we use your oven?
By all means, go
Oh, viens, mon vieux, on va manger quelque chose de bon. Viens. Viens avec moi.
Lloyd, Willie's machine is not experimental. It's actually being used in schools today.
Well, now here, Sandy, I see a very old and a very beautiful painting. It looks great, but I don't quite see the point. What's this got to do with the future?
Well, it is very beautiful, I agree, and it's real. It was painted by Albert Cuyp, and it was painted in the 17th century and now hangs in the art gallery in Toronto. It's worth about $20,000. You see, some things won't change. Ovens and telephones and teaching aids make it newer and more progressive. But this painting represents something which is very dear to us, and that something, in a word, is art.
Right now, a great deal depends on how world leaders understand North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-un. Some call him irrational, unstable, but for analysts who've studied his regime, for the defectors who've lived under Kim Jong-un's rule, the reality is more complicated. In April, Wendy Mesley took a deeper look at Kim Jong-un's North Korea.
We have a big problem. We have somebody that is not doing the right thing.
Every country is in danger from the actions of North Korea.
우리의 최고 존엄을 노린 이제와 괴뢰 군부 허전강들의 특수작전 흉계가 명백해지고 위험천만한 선제 타격 기도까지 드러난 이상
This is a threat of both rhetoric and growing capability.
미국이 원하는 그 어떤 전쟁에도 기꺼이 대응해줄 의지도 능력도 다 가지고 있다.
The rhetoric has escalated as North Korea's missiles cut through the sky and fuel a sense of imminent threat. The U.S. has moved an aircraft carrier group to the Korean Peninsula, underscoring the meaning behind the standard U.S. diplomatic code for war.
All options are on the table.
North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-un, is rapidly developing a missile capable of delivering a nuclear warhead that can reach the U.S.
Kim Jong-un, this crazy fat kid that's running North Korea.
And in the assessment of some officials, politicians, and commentators, he's a foe beyond the reach of reason.
I appreciate all of my counterparts wanting to talk about talks and negotiations. We are not dealing with a rational person.
I don't see them as irrational. I think there's certainly a values clash, and there's certainly, he's a dictator. But he's very calculated, and even Kim Jong-il, when he was in power, was very calculated. They're sort of the ultimate realists, as they do believe that the world is out to get them, and that they have serious security concerns that they need to deal with in that process.
Pyongyang has no Cold War alliance to protect it. The Soviet Union is long gone. China's relations with North Korea's bizarre dynastic dictatorship have declined. And North Korea can't ignore the tens of thousands of U.S. troops, along with South Korean allies, that have been stationed at the North's border ever since the Korean War, which technically never ended.
When you're a small country in the middle of all the big powers, and you're sort of the hated one of all of this, it makes you a little bit more paranoid, and it makes you want to be able to have your own capabilities and your own sort of exit plan.
In our country, the atomic power industry has been created for a peaceful purpose. That is, for the development of the economy and welfare of the people.
The U.S. became concerned about Pyongyang's nuclear program in the 80s. Washington offered aid and peaceful nuclear technology in return for disarmament in the 90s.
North Korea cannot be allowed to develop a nuclear bomb. We have to be very firm about it.
But North Korea seemed to stall and evade inspections, and everything unraveled in the early 2000s.
States like these and their terrorist allies constitute an axis of evil, arming to threaten the peace of the world.
Since then, a pattern has emerged with dictators the U.S. doesn't like. Saddam Hussein was tried and executed. Muammar Gaddafi never made it to a trial.
Somebody shot him by gun, 9 million.
Nukes were an insurance policy they didn't have, and North Korea knows it.
Things that have happened in Libya, in Iraq, and now even with Syria, you saw the first thing that Kim Jong-un did, and North Korea did after the strikes on Syria, was to say that here, this justifies the notion that we had that the U.S. is out to get us.
오늘의 현실은 힘에는 오직 힘으로 맞서야 하며 핵무력을 비상히 강화해온 우리의 선택이 천만 번 옳았다는 것을 실증해주고 있다.
The propaganda is relentless. The system itself seems like a wild-eyed cult to the outside world.
All North Koreans have to believe the leader as a god. There is no exception. When you're born in North Korea, before you remember your name, you have to remember the name of leaders. Before you remember your birthday, you have to remember their birthdays. First thing that I learned from nursery was this information. And then this kind of brainwashing system goes to forever until you die.
But according to many defectors, faith in the national religion is often an act that neither leaders nor their population truly believes.
In the near future, we will connect internet.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have a date for when?
In the near future.
In the
near future.
But people don't believe it. They're really sick of it because they have watched this information for their lives. They don't believe it. Of course, they pretend respect the government in front of people, but in private life, they don't care about the government. They just care about money. They just care about how to make a lot of money for their life. So North Korea is changing.
Political control in North Korea is violent and extreme. But while Kim Jong-un clamps down on contraband and border security, analysts say his free market reforms are growing the economy, and that many North Koreans support his nuclear policy.
Domestically, I think Kim Jong-un's advancement of these programs tied with better economic conditions inside the country have actually increased his popularity domestically.
Western media, of course, they kind of they portrayed Kim Jong-un as a pig and really fat man. He doesn't know fashion. His hairstyle is really stupid. You know what? That's really stupid thing to describe him. He's really rational. He's not stupid. He's really smart.
The U.S. has few options. The Trump administration has put its faith in China.
President Xi wants to do the right thing. I think he wants to help us with North Korea.
But China's actual leverage over North Korea is debatable. Just ask Kim Jong-un's uncle, Jang Song-taek.
Jang Song-taek was very popular with the Chinese, had very deep relations with the Chinese, and had, a very well-established reputation with the Chinese. And I think there's a certain degree to which Kim Jong-un, when he came to power, once he had established a strong enough core, decided that he didn't want to be a puppet of the Chinese.
Kim executed his uncle in 2013. He has not visited Beijing, nor shaken hands with China's leader, Xi Jinping.
I think people they tend to overestimate the influence that China would have.
Sanctions on North Korea could still be tightened. Recently, China has blocked coal imports. But after decades of practice, Pyongyang is adept at dodging and mitigating sanctions. And for all the posturing, the annual military exercises, the talk of decapitation strikes, war is almost unthinkable.
It would be a disaster, complete disaster. And you do have the potential of nuclear weapons being used.
American allies would have to prepare for a catastrophic retaliation. Even if the U.S. mainland remains safe, tens of millions of people are within range of North Korean artillery and missile strikes.
Retaliation could be on Seoul, it could be on Tokyo, it could be on, islands in Japan as sort of more of a warning. So it could get very messy very fast, and then you would have, World War III on your hands.
Two nation is on kind of, how can I say, is in the chicken game. Yes, it's kind of chicken game, yeah.
The outlook for diplomacy looks grim. North Korea's goals are regime security and prosperity. A hard sell when there's no mutual trust.
Without giving upon nuclear weapons, then he cannot improve the national economy. That's the dilemma. If North Korea dismantle the nuclear weapon, then United States has to provide national security and then huge economic aid. Donald Trump won't do this. So that's why I mean, Kim Jong-un is in dilemma, and Donald Trump also in dilemma.
Right now, there are no direct talks with North Korea, but time is running out. And if all options are on the table, no matter how ugly, calls to negotiate with Pyongyang will grow louder.
Since that piece was produced, the U.S. has moved more military assets into the region. Right now, there are 3 carrier groups in the Pacific. The USS Ronald Reagan carrier group off the coast of Japan, the USS America in the Singapore Strait, and the USS Bonhomme Richard near Australia. Still ahead, wildfires spark new evacuations in British Columbia, and Winnipeg receives another wave of people forced to flee the fires in northern Manitoba.
I left my house, my dog, my 2 dogs.
All that and more coming up on The National.
This is the National News Bulletin, a summary of the day's news.
Even bad news sounded good in those exciting, terrible days when radio news came of age, especially when read by our own voice of doom, Lorne Greene, when Haas was a colt.
Naval battle in the South Pacific.
Madam, will you please put away that knitting? You're going to have to applaud, you know. Now, let's all relax. Everybody, shall we? Nobody be nervous.
And to balance the glum news from overseas, CBC Radio offered happy-go-lucky fare.
Who's there? It's the Happy Gang!
It all began in 1901. The discoverer of wireless, Marconi, received his first transatlantic radio message from Signal Hill in Newfoundland.
Hi! And CBC Radio has been seeing to it that Canada gets the message ever since. In an array of programs from music talk shows like this, ranging through schools and youth, agriculture, religion, serious music, and variety.
A busy place, the CBC, and a big country to serve. How do you suppose all these programs get to all the people spread all over the map?
Well, if you think of the network as a superhighway, then you can picture national program clearance as the traffic cop who keeps things flowing smoothly. National program clearance arranges distribution of our radio and TV programs by landlines and by coast-to-coast microwave network. Just to complicate matters, there are several problems arising out of the different time zones into which the country is divided, not to mention line availability.
Ah, yes, line availability.
I said not to mention that.
Oh, sorry.
A CBC color presentation.
Let's follow an average broadcasting day from the beginning. It's very simple. There's the business of booking studios, getting the slides to telecine, last-minute news inserts, coffee to be ordered, public affairs specials, graphics to be ordered and approved, clear screen projection to be set up, stage hands to be scheduled, coffee to be brought, beats to be lined up, pianos to tune, light bulbs to be replaced, monitors to be serviced, press releases to be issued, coffee to be tasted, props to be picked up, cameras to be fired, shot lists to be typed, rehearsals to be scheduled, contracts to be drawn up, cold coffee to be dumped, memos to be filed.
Hold it, cut.
Cut. The only way this will cut is go back to the beginning.
To a dire situation in Myanmar, also known as Burma, more than 70,000 people have crossed the border over the past 10 days. They are fleeing violence and pouring into neighboring Bangladesh. The UN says relief camps are almost full. This all began when insurgents of the Rohingya Muslim minority attacked Myanmar security posts. In response, the military of the majority Buddhist country began what it calls clearance operations. People say their villages are being bombed and burned. Nearly 400 people have been killed. On Friday night, we brought you the story of the federal government's secret operation to bring gay Chechens to Canada. Human rights groups say they were being beaten and tortured as part of a state-sponsored program there. Well, tonight, one of the asylum seekers shared his experience with the CBC's Lorenda Redekop.
I'm afraid for my life, and most importantly, I'm afraid for the lives of my family back home.
This Chechen man didn't want his name or voice used. He arrived in Canada 2 months ago, but he's still so scared he'll be recognized. Even these clothes aren't his own. Human Rights Watch released video last year of what it said was happening to gay men in Chechnya. Dragged, beaten, tortured. Since then, the group says the situation got even worse. He says in his case, police grabbed him when he was at work, threw him in the trunk of a car, and took him to a secret jail, interrogating him for 3 weeks.
The torture was various. You're beaten, sometimes kicked, sometimes objects are used, but eventually the last resort is always electroshock. Just experiencing the electroshock once is enough to realize that you don't want anyone else to go through this.
He says officers demanded the names of other gay people and that he lied and gave fake names. Human rights groups say this was part of a state-sanctioned operation in Chechnya. At the same time, top Chechen officials deny there are any gay people there. The Canadian government worked with human rights groups to bring men to safety. So far, 31 have been accepted as refugees here. 22 have already arrived. The Prime Minister was asked yesterday about the secret operation.
Canada will always stand up for rights and protect vulnerable peoples around the world.
I mean, what would you say?
Rainbow Railroad was one of the groups that helped bring the men here.
There are still reports of individuals being captured and tortured by authorities, and so we expect even more individuals to try to find safe haven.
The young man we met has this message to others who haven't arrived yet.
We're here, we're safe, and everything's fine.
Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
For people displaced by wildfires in northern Manitoba, including from several First Nations, it's another night of exhaustion and anxiety, hundreds of kilometers from home. Aaron Bromman has the latest on that situation tonight in Winnipeg.
For evacuees stranded in Winnipeg, home is where the cot is, making for some long nights.
We need a bigger blankets and a pillow.
About 5,000 evacuees from northeastern Manitoba are now in the city. Most are staying at the two main relief centers.
Families just laid up their beds together. Some had six cots all together.
Where did you get the blankets?
People's beds.
Many came to Winnipeg with just each other and what they had on. Everything else was left behind.
My dog!
I left my house. My dog.
The massive Island Lake wildfire continues to grow. 400 firefighters are attacking it with water bombers and helicopters. While evacuees continue to come in, the children are finding ways to keep busy.
I'm supposed to go to school back home, but it's on hold.
This First Nations official is worried about the kids.
There's this culture shock to them. Pavement, where's my green trees?
I don't like it here because the roads are hard.
Because what?
Because of the road hides and it hurts my feet.
While the Canadian Red Cross is covering people's basic needs, it can't cure homesickness.
No Aboriginal food. Not like back home. It is frustrating. We want to go home. We don't like it here.
But despite the stress and turmoil,
we're still alive and I hope everybody's okay.
We want rain!
And there is rain forecast for the region tomorrow, which many hope will help. Aaron Bromman, CBC News, Winnipeg.
British Columbia, already dealing with its worst ever wildfire season, has a couple more to deal with, as at least 2 fires are burning close to Cranbrook near the Alberta border. Smoke and flames have forced hundreds of evacuations and the closure of an airport. So far, there are no reports of any casualties, but there is fear that some of the region's historic century-old wooden buildings could be lost. In Nova Scotia, some family members woke up to an unusual situation this morning. Their home was partially collapsing into a massive sinkhole. The family heard strange noises and thought intruders were trying to get in, so they called 911. Police arrived and were just as surprised. Everyone inside the home got out safely, and firefighters were able to cut off power, water, and sewer lines. When U.S. President Donald Trump doesn't like a story, he calls it fake news. But it's nothing compared to the Philippines, where a smear campaign has landed its victim in jail. That's next.
It was as if all of London was in love. 600,000 people filling the streets, come to share a special day. As they cheered every carriage, and as they listened quietly to the ceremony on the speakers,
I pronounce that they be man and wife together.
they were, quite simply, rejoicing.
Because I love these things. I love royal weddings and royal anything.
Yes, it's Britain, isn't it? It's Britain.
We're here because we're English, we're British. This is a great day for us.
The crowd in front of me today has been absolutely marvellous. They've enjoyed themselves watching the procession, and they seem to have enjoyed it thoroughly.
It was a time to forget all the troubles, and anyone who tried to bring them up didn't have a chance.
For the country.
It's good for the country, yeah,
it's good
but
for ordinary people like me who go to work every day.
Yeah,
And
but
for
what about
thousands
people
and
that
millions
haven't
of
got
other
jobs?
people like us, all right?
What about people
It's
that
good
haven't
for
got
us.
jobs?
I enjoy it.
What about
That's all
fellas
there is
like
to
me
it.
as well? What about fellas like me?
It's just for the ordinary working people who go to work every day who've got a job, all right? We're lucky we've got a job.
Yeah, but
This
what about
is
the people that
marvellous.
haven't
This
got
is
a job?
England.
Not only the British thought it was marvelous, the Trudeau children watched from Canada House with their mother.
Well, I thought it was like a fairy tale. And, like,
the trumpets and the band, and the Prince Charles was the prince and Lady Diana was the princess, and was very happy.
What did you think of Lady Diana?
I think she was very beautiful, and I'm glad that Prince Charles has picked her. He has made a very good choice.
Misha, what did you think of the whole thing?
I think the band was nice. I'm a musician myself, so I would think it's nice all the time. Lady Diana was nice, Charles was nice, the church was nice, the Queen was nice.
Not just the children, but all the world seems captivated by the beautiful princess in her magnificent dress.
She looked beautiful. She had lovely frills around here, and she looked like a lemon colour, didn't it?
Lemony cream, it wasn't white. Lovely. Even as they saw it, this London fashion house was copying it, frantically working from a sketch made the moment the bride appeared on television.
Ours is white, hers was ivory, more to cream. Secondly, really the important thing is we are not using pure silk, we're using artificial silk, and therefore it's a lot cheaper than Lady Diana's or Princess of Wales dress would be if one could buy it, which of course you can't.
Within hours, 3 copies of the dress will be in London stores. Within days, thousands. The wedding has obviously been a tremendous boost for the British fashion industry and for the British economy, and also, perhaps above all, even if only fleetingly, for a faltering British spirit. Eve Savory, CBC News, London.
They're both fake.
It's real or
yeah, it is. About Delima, it is. Sometimes I feel like it's fake.
Fake online news is a force to be reckoned with. It may have been a determining factor in the U.S. presidential election, but just wait until you see how it plays in the Philippines, where the public is especially vulnerable to online campaigns of deceit for reasons that range from technology to celebrity. Here again is Adrian Arsenal with Faking It in the Philippines.
What's about to play out at this courthouse in Manila surely looks to some like a story of how the mighty can fall when fake news takes flight. Police keeping an eye on the crowds who are keeping an eye out for Senator Laila de Lima. Once the Justice Secretary of the Philippines, the chair of the Human Rights Commission, now she's a prisoner. This is as serious as it looks. De Lima back to jail after another court appearance, and as always, it's a frenzy. The woman who once went after drug lords is now facing charges of taking money from drug lords. She could be jailed for life. Her lawyers are certainly nervous.
What is your biggest worry for her right now? Your biggest fear?
Well, her safety, her security is our biggest concern right now. This is a test to the judicial branch of the government. This is a test case if really rule of law and due process is working here in the Philippines.
In the Philippines of Rodrigo Duterte, this should be no surprise. The president has been perfectly clear what he had planned for the woman who has publicly and persistently criticized him and his drug war.
Killing is killing, no matter what. He must be held criminally liable.
Senator de Lima, it was your greed and your immorality that did you in.
One day soon, I will bitawan ko yan in public. If I were de Lima, ladies and gentlemen, I'll hang myself.
Obviously, Duterte cannot stand her. But does that make the allegations against her false? It's hard for Filipinos to know what to believe. Daily, they are bombarded with salacious tales about Duterte's critics, and about de Lima in particular. Obama calls de Lima abnormal. De Lima resigns. De Lima on suicide watch. Her son caught with drugs. Her sister arrested for drug trafficking. All startling stories suggesting the woman is a guilty mess. But all of them are fake, completely made-up headlines on made-up news sites. The problem is, that's not immediately obvious.
Are they both real? Are they both fake?
I think they're both fake.
It's real or it's
Yeah,
fake?
it is. About the Lima, it is. Sometimes I feel like it's fake.
A digital global survey last year found that Filipinos spend more time per day on social media than anyone else in the world, even though the internet they access is a little tricky.
Your internet here on the phone, is it fast or is it slow?
Slow.
True. Mobile internet here is among the slowest and most expensive in all of Asia. So watching videos or clicking on links just eats up data. But Facebook is free. Filipinos can and do scroll through it all day long. That means seeing all those fake stories embedded in their timelines. But fact-checking those stories? Forget it. That means spending more money on more data.
Can you always tell by looking at the headline if it's real or fake?
No. You have to read the full article.
But why would you do that if it's going to cost you money to open it?
You won't open it.
What do you think this does to your democracy, all this fake news?
They can manipulate the minds of the people into believing something that is not real.
Do you think that's happening now?
Politicians have been quick to gamble that people will believe what they read. This is Rappler, a social media news outlet run by Maria Ressa. Her team has been studying online networks that were dispatched to fire up support for Duterte and shut down his critics. They found a potent trail of real enthusiasm, fake stories, and blistering attacks.
The campaign network, its first goal was to elect Duterte as president. It succeeded in doing that. By July, it had shifted. So after he won, what happens next, right? We saw several groups and people being attacked. The first group being attacked were traditional media.
The second, she says, was a series of attacks on Duterte's critics. De Lima was in the sights fast. When word leaked she was having an affair with her driver, which was true, suddenly all other accusations were painted as plausible too.
Overnight, we watched her turn from being the head of the Commission on Human Rights, the former Justice Secretary, now a senator who did quite well, to becoming a drug lord. I mean, that's how the hyperbole spread. And we watched her online get stripped of her dignity. You had a congressional hearing where senators, most of them men, joked about her love life. And this just went to extremes on social media.
Ressa and her team tracked the bulk of the pro-Duterte online campaigns to 3 core accounts that together reach millions of followers.
These were the 3 content creators.
They called their research the weaponization of the internet. And once it was published, Ressa says she started receiving 90 hate messages an hour for a month. Rape threats, death threats, lots of intimidation.
If you do not believe in us, you do not deserve to exist.
But their work and their research continues, including a look at one of the most significant pro-Duterte accounts in the Philippines.
She's the anchor account for the propaganda machine. She's the anchor account.
She's a woman named Mocha Uson, the blogger in that T-shirt showing Senator De Lima's prison picture. This is also Mocha, with her group, the Mocha Girls. She's had a curious trajectory. Sex blogger, singer, turned government-appointed member of the Movie and TV Classification Board. The Duterte dance, somewhat of a fixture at her concerts.
So, here's what you need to know about Mocha Uson. In the Philippines, she is huge. In a way, think of the online reach of Kim Kardashian. Now, imagine if Kim Kardashian got a job with the government. Got it? That is Mocha Uson.
Fiercely loyal to the president, sometimes traveling alongside him on foreign visits, always writing in support of him to her 5 million followers. Just before the concert, we sat down in a salon across the street from the club to talk about what gets shared online and why.
Hey, Mocha, I'm Adrian.
Just hours earlier, she'd reposted an article about Senator De Lima with a pretty extraordinary claim from the Speaker of the House.
It says the country's #1 drug lord is already jailed. And you posted this, right? This is from your account.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I shared that.
Do you really think the senator is the #1 drug lord in the Philippines?
Drug lord protector.
But that's not what that says. It says the country's #1 drug lord is already jailed.
I quoted the Speaker of the House.
Right. Do you think some people are going to read that and think, well, Mocha thinks she's the #1 drug lord in the country? It must be so.
Well, I just posted that because that's what the Speaker of the House said.
Do you believe that, though?
Oh, yes, I believe so.
You believe that she's the #1 drug lord?
Yeah, one of the big drug lords. For now, she is the #1. And I'm sticking to that.
You're sticking to that. So this is going to make a lot of people angry. It's going to divide a lot of people. A number of people are going to say this is just a flat-out lie.
Maybe, but if you read the comments, majority, they would agree.
They would agree.
Because that's how they feel.
As we spoke, Mocha's manager recorded the interview. By evening's end, they'd edited a chunk to music and posted it, including a part where she urged we do more research.
I think you should do more research because I am getting the feeling that you see De Lima as innocent, as an innocent person.
I don't know what
you need to do more research, ma'am, because the Filipinos know who De Lima is. So please, madam, do your research.
Hundreds of thousands of views, thousands of shares and comments, plenty of digs at us. Blind, lazy, puppets of the oligarchs, which is all absolutely fine. People can say what they want. Those who side with Senator De Lima, though, would argue the efforts to silence her are extraordinary. Human Rights Watch is clear it thinks the drug charges against her are politically motivated. But the thing is, that's just a theory. The courts have yet to decide her guilt or innocence, and until then, she's in detention. Which is where we caught up with her. No cameras, no microphones allowed, but they let us in to visit her. She's held in the same facility with some of those she once put away. It's either justice or a complete betrayal of justice.
So that took a little while. There was a mass in there of her supporters and friends. It was really for her. It happens twice a week. It's interesting. She's isolated in that jail because she's the only woman in there. The whole point of the mass, interestingly enough, was about the truth. A lot of time was spent talking about the death of truth in this culture, and they feel in this country at the moment. And she got a chance to write a quick note to that effect.
And the essence of that note? Social media must stop being an instrument of lies, deceptions, and oppression, she wrote, adding, it can truly be a powerful tool for change, genuine and positive change. Optimistic thoughts from a woman with not many reasons to be optimistic. She continues to return to court to try to get the charges thrown out, but has had no success. And there's no option for bail either. Senator Leila De Lima could be in legal limbo for years, a resolution as elusive as hard facts in the Philippines. Adrian Arsenault, CBC News, Manila.
Just ahead, tennis sensation Denis Shapovalov has a message for young Canadians.
Today's events were part of a program which has been going on since Wednesday evening. Gays and non-gays mingled at the fair, some coming from as far away as Holland and California.
Well, there are a few 100,000 gay people in the city of Toronto, and we felt that the organized gay community wanted to have a celebration of our culture, our community, and this is it. This is Gay Days.
They say together they can work toward acceptance by general society.
Though they marched through the streets today as they have before, the tone was less serious. There were no nightsticks, no confrontations. In the park, the atmosphere was festival.
Gay pride is an expression we use to say that we're proud of our sexuality, that we're not ashamed to say that our lifestyle is worth living.
More than 1,000 of the city's estimated 250,000 gays and lesbians celebrated with a sense of humor. They even found a way to laugh at AIDS.
This is supposed to be a public celebration. It's ironic that at this event, some entertainers and some participants in the rally asked us not to take their picture.
Gays and lesbians marching here fear reprisals for their lifestyle.
A sweltering summer Sunday in the city. A day to meet friends. Lots of friends, as it turned out. It may have been the biggest block party of the season. The parade, too, was a hit, an indication of the self-confidence and self-assurance that lesbians and gays have acquired here in only a few years.
This year, participants had something else to celebrate, the legal right to marry. Hundreds of thousands lined the streets. San Diego native Richard Reed and his partner Ernie Lacasse have been to pride parades before. This is their first as a married couple. For them, and for their fellow June brides and grooms, this year's parade is indeed a happy one.
They're circular, and the inside of the rim is scorched a little all around, and these circles are approximately 34 to 35 feet wide.
It was a disc shape, and it had a dome in the middle. Oh, it was a beautiful ship. It was a creamy white color.
It's as if a giant cookie cutter has stamped out circles. They range from 2 to 20 meters in diameter and come in a variety of patterns. Some swirl clockwise, others fan out from the center. Around the crisp perimeter, the fields are intact.
The plants are going through some form of molecular change, causing them to grow into huge dartboard patterns.
It's beyond anything we can suggest, and beyond any conventional science, the way this has been constructed.
Visitors are coming from miles around to see the latest attraction near Conquest, Saskatchewan. It's the most excitement people in this area have seen in a while. One of the circles looks like a donut. Another has a tail pointing to the south. And on a nearby field owned by a Hutterite colony, there are 6 circles. In all of them, the stalks of wheat are flattened but not damaged.
I'm not a great believer in UFOs, but once you see them right up close, they're different.
Canada's newest tennis star, Denis Shapovalov, had his incredible summer run come to an end at the U.S. Open today. Shapovalov started strong, but ultimately lost his match. Afterward, he remained positive about his goals.
My goal is to raise the level of Canadian tennis and just have more kids picking up a racket instead of a hockey stick.
Shapovalov has called August a life-changing month, jumping in the world rankings from 143 to 69. Not bad for an 18-year-old who only started his pro career last year. Walter Becker, co-founder of the band Steely Dan, has died.
And there's a star in the book of liars by your name.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame band enjoyed enormous success in the 70s and 80s. They were famous for creating a sophisticated jazz rock sound. Steely Dan would go on to sell more than 40 million albums worldwide. Becker had missed performances earlier this year. No cause of death or other details were provided. And before we go tonight, one of the great American poets, John Ashbery, has died. Ashbery was best known for his 1975 collection called Self-Portrait in a Convex Mirror. It earned him the rare triple honor of the Pulitzer Prize, the National Book Award, and the National Book Critics Circle Award. John Ashbery was 90 years old. That's the National for this Sunday night. For news at any hour, you can always go to our website, cbcnews.ca. I'm Dwight Drummond. Thank you for watching.